morning, everybody. So everybody's required to buy at least 2 books. 2 donut minimum and a 2 book minimum. You got it. Now, I didn't know that was on Amazon this morning, so that's exciting. We just got it done. I did not know the proofing process was as intense as, it was 6 months. I thought we were going to get this rolled out in the spring, and we just kept proofing it, and apparently everybody here has read it at least twice, except for Kevin, who hasn't read it once.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, so we're going to talk about, Kevin, is the camera rolling? Okay. Survival guide for the overwhelmed online marketer. Basically what I want to do is just kind of take you through some key points for getting web marketing off the ground. Basic things that you need to do in, online marketing, very vast. There's a lot of avenues, and especially over the last 10 years or so. It used to be very much SEO centric, and over the years, social media got added on, links became more and more important, content marketing became big, and so there's this whole broad range of stuff that we have to do in order to have an effective online marketing campaign, and it does get overwhelming. Even for us, you've seen all our strategists, there's 6 of us now, and everybody has a very particular area of expertise. That's what they do, that's what they focus on, and their job is to stay educated on that area alone. And we set it up that way because we know that there's so much to learn. And when we get busy, I hear them tell me, hey, I'm not keeping up just on content, or I'm not keeping up just on social media, the changes and everything going on. So there's a lot to do, and Mr. Rogers will be here in a little bit. Thanks, Kevin.
It's muted, sorry.
That's all right. No, mine went off in the movie last night, and apparently sleep mode on the iPhone doesn't care. So anyway, I wanted to kind of go through some key points on just how do we build this online marketing campaign, and how do we go forward. And everything with online marketing, survival with online marketing starts with plan. Priorities, landscape, action, and navigation. So these are the 4 areas that we're going to cover. We're going to look at basic survival strategies, go through some web marketing facts and fiction, things that you may think are true or may have heard at one point or another, optimization tools and tactics, and then maintaining a healthy web presence. So this should probably take us about an hour and a half, right around 2 hours. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I want to make sure you get the information that you need, so we can make this very discussion oriented if there's anything here that you need to go a little bit more detail in. Alright, so let's go into priorities, basic survival strategies. We're going to start with quick victories, and I'm going to go through several different things here that I think there's 5 or 6 of these that are just a way to get started, kind of just look at different ways to tackle online marketing. So let's go with quick victories, which is what can we do to make, I don't want to say a quick buck, but how do we get results very quickly, or what avenues do we need to go into to get results quickly? And the first is pay-per-click. Is everybody familiar with what pay-per-click advertising is? Google AdWords is the biggest thing. There's a lot of others. Bing and Yahoo have their own pay-per-click. There's a lot of other search engines that you can do, with Google AdWords being the primary one. And what pay-per-click allows you to do is to really just set up a campaign and immediately start driving traffic to your site. Now, you're paying for every time somebody clicks. So, whether it's $1, 50 cents, $2, whatever you're bidding, every time somebody comes, you're paying for it. But you can start getting ROI immediately. If your site is working and people are finding what they want, then you can start getting orders or whatever your ROI is, whether it be a phone call or somebody filling out a contact form. These are all things that pay-per-click can do rather quickly and effectively. The downside of pay-per-click is, while it's very easy to set up, it can be very complicated to manage effectively. We've talked to a lot of businesses that, we ask them, are you interested in pay-per-click? They said, no, I've tried that, it doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work, it just didn't work because it was probably not being managed properly. And Google has made a killing off people going, hey, this is so easy to set up a pay-per-click campaign, start driving traffic to your site. People get the traffic coming in, it's costing them a lot of money, and they think it doesn't work. But it really just comes down to managing the ROI. And we have yet to find any business that pay-per-click campaign can't work effectively and profitably. It's just a matter of really balancing the ROI, balancing how much you're paying for clicks, making sure you've got your calls to action set up, making sure that the site is able to convert people well. So there's a lot of nuances to that, but you know, you do have to have constant attention on that. It does change a lot, but pay-per-click can be very effective. You know, one of those things that if somebody's coming to us and say, look, I need to get some profits now, that's where we suggest they start. It's the least profitable thing for us as a company because Google gets most of the money. Google makes a killing out of this. Is where Google's billions of dollars come from, is their pay-per-click, but it still can be profitable. The next thing is remarketing campaigns. This is a subset of PPC, but what it does is it allows you to continue to target people after they've left your site. And Google has these networks set up where people are, I'm going to run ads on my site for Google, and I'm going to get paid every time somebody clicks on one of those ads. Well, if somebody comes to your site and then they go and visit another site that's similar, you can target them. And actually, they don't even have to be similar at all. But you know, there's ways that you can really target people effectively by following them around wherever they go on the web. Now, it can get very creepy. And I don't know if you've noticed that where you visit a site and you keep seeing ads for that site. Like, why is that ad there? Why is that ad there? That's somebody doing remarketing. And it can be very effective if you do it right. You got to kind of just keep it under that creep factor zone, you know. Make sure you're not stalking somebody. But you can really target the ads, the messaging of the ads based on the action that they took on your website. Say you're selling products and they win, they added carts, they added products to the shopping cart but then didn't check out. Well, your ad can say, hey, come back, finish your purchase, here's a discount coupon. So, you know, or if they visited a certain page, then you can have an ad that targets people that, hey, you were looking for this information specifically, and the ad will be geared towards that. So it can be very, very effective. It is more complex than PPC alone, because there's just so many added layers of nuance there, but it's a good way to drive traffic and you know, get people to come back. And we've seen, you know, there's conversion rate increases that are at least somehow attributed to people having seen one of these ads. Whether they click on the ad or not, it often brings people back to the site later. Website architecture, this is a big one for SEO especially. The architecture of the site is pretty much how the site is constructed on the back end. It's a lot of the stuff that you don't see. So there's a lot that you want to make sure that there's not problems. You know, it's kind of like the foundation of the site itself, and if your foundation has cracks in it or it's crumbling, it's going to cause a problem for all of your online marketing campaigns. So a lot of times what we can do with website architecture is if there's big enough problems, and a lot of sites have them, you make a few fixes and you can see a sudden lift in search engine presence from that alone. Whether it's because you're blocking spiders, the search engine spiders from crawling the site, grabbing the content. Maybe it's duplicate content problems that the search engines are coming, they're seeing same stuff, and then you fix all of that, and now the search engines go, okay, now we can value this content better. So a lot of things with the website architecture, broken links, redirecting links, even how you use the navigation, the words in that, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But that can be a huge win. That's usually one of the first things that we do when we take on an SEO project, is run some crawlers through the site, just so we can get an idea of the architectural issues or problems. I mean, a lot of times the biggest issue is duplicate content. I think where you have, you know, we've seen sites have, you know, 5 or 6 URLs for one page of content. And the search engines see it, even though it's the same exact content, they see it as duplicate, you know. So there's a lot of things you can do. Just do a quick fix, and you go from 10,000 pages being spidered down to 5,000 pages or 2,000 pages, and now those 2,000 pages have a better opportunity to rise up in the rankings because you're not being diluted. So you got to look for the quick website architecture wins. All right, next up, optimization essentials. These are the 5 or 6 things that I believe every optimization campaign needs. There's a lot of different elements going into these things, but you've got to make sure that if you want to be effective, you've got to hit on all cylinders. You know, there's a lot that we can do with the client and say, look, we're going to focus on this. But if it doesn't have these other elements, you're not going to be successful, or your success is going to be very limited. Or if we focus over here and not over here, again, you're going to have a limited effectiveness. So keyword research, that's where everything starts. That is pretty much the foundation of all online marketing. Everything it comes down to is what are the keywords that people are searching for on the search engines? What are they looking for that's relevant to what you do? And there's a number of keyword research tools out there that'll help you find what we call core terms and search phrases. And really it starts with just looking at how are people referring to my product or my service or what I offer. And then you take those keywords and you can work them into the content. So different things that you're looking for is synonyms, whether it's the exact word that you would use. Maybe somebody's using a similarly related word. So there's synonyms, there's alternate descriptions, co-occurrence, and correlations. And all of these are just different ways of, when you got the correlations, that's two words that are usually used in the same context. Where if you are talking about a dog, well, sometimes a cat might be used in the same context, or sometimes dog food might be mentioned in the same context, depending on what you're talking about. Co-occurrence are words that are often found at the same time. If you're talking about dog food, then health and nutrition are almost always working together on those pages. So you can do your keyword research to find these alternate words. So when you're writing your content, you have this pool of words going, I need to work these into the content in order to make a really good authoritative piece of content. And that's what the keyword research does. Is it's not that you wouldn't use those words on your own, but it gives you a better idea of the type of things that Google is looking for, the other search engines are looking for, in order to really, look at a piece as a valuable piece of marketing content, or just something that they want to grab onto and say that's worth giving a better ranking for in the search engines. So start with the keyword research, and then you use that to go into the titles and tags. Every page has a unique title, and it's usually not something that you see or the visitor sees on the page, but it does show in the search results. When you do a search on Google, the blue link for each result, that is usually your title tag. Now, Google doesn't always use the title tag. Sometimes they rewrite that for you. But if your title tag is well written and it's a good call to action, then that's what people will see. And that's what you want to make sure is very compelling. Use your keywords, because that's what people are searching for. They're searching for keywords. You put your keywords in your title tag, but also make sure it's compelling and something that somebody reads and goes, I want to click that. And a lot of times what I'll tell people when they're writing title tags for all of the pages on their site is, do keyword searches and look at the title tags in the search results of all the other competitors, and write something more compelling. Write something that gives somebody a reason to click on yours if it was up in that list rather than theirs. And then beyond that, you want to go into the heading tags in the content, where you have the H1 heading, which is usually at the top of the content, top of the page. When somebody lands on a page, it's usually the first thing that they'll read. They'll look at the logo and then they'll read your heading. So you want that heading to be compelling. Usually, in some cases, it can be the same as the title tag, or it's a close variation of that. The title tag is limited to 50, 55 characters, where your heading can have a lot more. But you want to make it succinct, you want to make it valuable, and you want to make somebody read it going, I come to the right place, I'm going to keep reading. That's what you want to give them. And then you have paragraph headings throughout, where you're breaking up content with another heading, a subheading. Use those to your advantage. Add keywords into those headings. Make sure they're compelling. A lot of people skim content, so they're looking for something that interests them. So use your paragraph headings to really keep people engaged with the content. You got your meta description, which is again not something anybody sees, but it does show on the search results again under the title tag. And that reinforces the title. It gives you a chance, probably about 150 characters, to reinforce what the page is about. And again, you look at the other meta descriptions that Google is showing, and then go, how do I write one that's even more compelling? Or how do I write one that really makes somebody say, I'm going to click on that result over anybody else's? And you do that, this is where you don't need a number 1 ranking, whereas the number 3 ranking or the number 5 ranking might actually get more traffic from Google than the number one because you've got a more compelling title tag and a more compelling meta description. So think about competing in those terms, not just in the terms of I need to be ranked. Look at it as a chance to steal traffic away from somebody who might be ranking better than you. And that itself will help you move up in the rankings as well. And then you have alt tags, which go on images. Anytime you put an image on your site, you should use the alt tag, which is just a way to describe the image. And it just allows the search engines to kind of get further context for what's on the page. And that image can also be ranked in Google image search or any search engine image search, which often is a way people can find you. If they're looking for certain images, they might see that image, they might come to the site. I found that when I'm shopping for like clothing and things like that, instead of doing a search on Google and then clicking in the store and then seeing what they've got, I do an image search, look for the style that I like, and then click that picture and go into the site that now I know has that. So it can be a way to circumvent natural search by using the images. And a lot of people will do that for various reasons, but you can get a lot of traffic with image search, so you got to use your alt tags as well. Content and links, again, we talked a little bit about content with the headings, but now, the bulk of the content, the bulk of the words on the page, they do need to be keyword rich. If you're writing about a topic, your content needs to be an authoritative piece of copy. And that's what Google's looking for. More than anything else, they're looking for authority. They're looking for you to know your stuff more than somebody else does, because the more you know it, then that's what Google wants to put up in the search results. They don't really care how well written it is, although that helps. They just want something that really answers people's questions. Google's job is to get people the content that they want. So if you're writing content that people don't want, then Google has no incentive to rank it. But if you're writing content that people want, Google will figure that out, whether people are finding it already, they're socializing and all these kind of things. That'll help move the content up. But it really does start with having really good content. And then the links in the content, you can use links to get people from one page to the next. And we talk often about using navigation. But at the same time, what we often miss is putting links in the content itself. Navigation is great, and people use navigation to find what they want, but once they're engaged, you want them to stay engaged. You don't want people to break from the content to go look in the navigation for what they want next. How many of you have spent more than an hour on Wikipedia at a time? Okay, good. In Wikipedia, they're masters at that. You're reading an article and you see links to go, okay, that's interesting, I'm going to go there. Okay, that's interesting, I'm going to go there. And the next thing you know, you're on a totally different topic than where you started, but just because you're following links. Not going back, not doing any new searches, you're just doing the natural progression of following your interests. And that's what we need to do with our website, is to make sure that we're allowing people to follow the path that we have for them. What is the goal? What are they trying to figure out? Let's get them to that information without disengaging from the content and going to the navigation itself. So in the navigation links, that is a big factor as well. You want to make sure your navigation is clear and clean. People know how to find what they want. One of my biggest pet peeves is church websites that have all these buzzwords in their navigation, and I have no idea what it means. There's several of them. I'm like, what do these topics mean? You've got like 3 navigation options, and they have no meaning to me other than the one that says give. So, and it's like, you need to speak the language that people understand. I want to know directions, I want to know service times, I want to know programs, but using buzzwords that are specific for that church doesn't help people at all. So you got to think in the mind of your audience when you're thinking about navigation. How are people thinking? How are they searching? What words are they using? Make sure your navigation reflects that. Navigation architecture, this is kind of the big, kind of taking your links and your navigation and just looking at the whole site. Larger sites, a lot of times they need entirely new navigation architecture, which means we're redesigning the words that people use in their navigation, we're redesigning the subcategories in the navigation, we're reorganizing, refocusing. This is an important part of the website's usability. Has anybody been on a site and you just can't find what you're looking for? I mean, you know it's there, but you can't find it. People have that problem because the navigation isn't set up right. So you want to make sure that, when somebody lands on the site, one of the things I always try to make sure is your main offerings, what you do, is readily visible in the navigation. Now what we often do is go, okay, click here for services, or click here for products. Well, why are you forcing people to click into something that says, here's our services, here's our products? Why not list them out? Unless you've got way too many, but then you start categorizing them. And if you look at our website, and not that our website is a great example, we've neglected it, but we put our 7 core services right across the top. So if somebody's looking for SEO, or they're looking for social media, or they're looking for content marketing, they land on our site, they don't have to click anywhere to know we offer all of those things. And that's kind of what you want. When somebody lands on your site, you want them to immediately know what it is that you do, what it is that you offer them. And then, the other things, the About Us and directions or phone numbers, those can be different navigation links. But keep it front and center, those things that you do, so people don't have to hunt around. The last thing you want is somebody to land on a page and start going, where am I going? What am I trying to find? Click here. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Get them where they need to go, as quickly as possible. So just make it clear. The other thing people often do with navigation is they try and make it a catch-all, where you see the navigation there and there's like a link to every page on the site. One big drop down, it's like, okay, now we've got 50 different options. That often confuses people more than it helps them. We think, well, we're making it easy. We're making it so they can find what they're looking for with one click. They click this thing and now all these options are there. Well, people kind of get in this place where there's too many options, so they don't know what to do, or they don't know which of the options is best for them. So it's usually a good idea to narrow people down, give them a few broad categories. Once they click in, give them some subcategories. Once they click in, maybe another set of subcategories if necessary. So don't look at your navigation as, hey, let's give them all the options all at once. Let's get people focused into what they want and start making commitment and going down the path that you're leading them to get to the information that they need. Authority building, this is one of the most important parts of optimization. And again, this wasn't so important a few years ago because everything about SEO was about SEO. You optimize the page, you build some links, maybe fix the architecture, you were good to go. But now, with social media, and even links was the intro level of authority building, but the search engines are going, is this site popular? Is this site offering people what they need? And that's why you can come out with a website and have the best content ever, but until you've built authority, you're not going to compete in the search results. And that's what a lot of people don't understand with brand new websites, is it takes time to really build that authority. And that, so just getting out there and putting the content, that's step one. Get a good site, get an authority website, and then start building that and getting people coming, linking, socializing, talking about you, and demonstrating that you do in fact have good content that people are looking for. So this is the long-term process. You can do all the other stuff that we talked about. This is the long-term process of really building and building and building that foundation and building on it. You just want to have really good content, engage in social media, get your link building, get that going. So you can have the site completely optimized, and rarely do we ever say a site can be completely optimized because there's always new things happening. But the authority building is the ongoing process that really does never end with SEO. There's always the more authority to build, and the moment you stop, the moment you say, hey, I'm good for now, you've got competitors that are building authority, and they are going to soon become a bigger authority than you are. So there's not a lot of coasting that you can do in the authority building space. Okay, so user experience, this is the next one. We optimize sites, and what about once people come? They go to the search engine, they do a search, they click on the link, they land on your site, now what? Well, user experience is another big avenue for really making sure people have and get what they need. We talked a little bit about that with the navigation aspect. And we're going to talk a little bit about, again, site navigation. You don't want to hide everything behind the click. You know, you don't want to keep that stuff where people are searching or hunting, they can't quite find what they want. Make your services obvious. Conversion optimization. This is something that we like to do a lot with the clients that we have is, you know, a lot of times we'll make recommendations and we'll say, hey, you need to change this, you need to do this is going to be a better experience. And the clients will come back and say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't think we should do that. I don't think my customers like that. And we say, well, let's test it. You know, prove us wrong. I don't care. You know, if we're making a recommendation and you don't like it, that's fine. Let's see who's right. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're not. The only way to know is to test. And really everything comes down to every change that you make to a website should be tested. And we don't do that a lot. Sometimes we make big changes. We do major redesigns of the site and roll it out and we go, okay, cross our fingers. Let's hope this one does better than the last one. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it does better, do we know why it's doing better? Maybe it does better because you fixed one aspect of it, but in another area it's doing worse. This is overcompensating for the part that's doing worse. So we really like to do a lot of testing and say, look, let's test every change. You know, even if it's just changing the color of a button, you know, changing the color of your phone number, test it. You know, and in smaller businesses it can get hard because you have to have a lot of traffic to really test effectively. So that's where, you know, maybe you do make 3 or 4 or 5 changes at a time and see what kind of results they get. But, you know, start with best practices. You know, take a version of your site and go, we're going to make a major change or several set of changes, and then we're going to test those against each other and see which one does better. Then you take the winner, then maybe you change a few more things, and you take the winner from there. So you can kind of start with these broad changes here, and then keep doing that until now you're getting down to some really granular stuff. And people have talked about, you know, huge differences in sales just by changing colors of buttons, changing placement of things, changing images, things like that. Amazon rolls out tests like every 2 weeks. They're doing something a little bit different, and we probably don't even notice it because it's just on such a very small scale, but they're testing all the time. And whatever starts working, then they roll that out with everybody. And things change, you know, so something that you tested a year ago, and this was the winning thing, well, maybe now that's the loser, you know, so you got to be willing to retest and try things again. So don't be afraid to make changes, but just keep an eye on what those changes do. Voice, that's something that we talk about a lot, is making sure your website has a unique voice. It should be unique to you, and it should be unique in a way that people can really get a sense of who you are from that. Most people, especially now, they come to a website, they're not looking for corporate speak. You know, where the uptight, I'm just going to give you, here's the information. They're looking for somebody with a unique voice. And it doesn't have to be humorous, it doesn't have to be, you know, something that isn't appropriate for your industry, but it should be unique to you where people can read your content and go, okay, I get a sense of who you are. I get a sense of who the company is and what I'll be dealing with if I pick up the phone and call them. So that's what you want. And I've done this, we did a series of slides in another presentation where we took a paragraph of content, we ran it through all these different voices. And it's amazing that you can take the same paragraph and say it in all these different ways, and it gets the message across, but very uniquely. And so, you know, play with that a little bit. Play with different voices. See what works for you and works for your company. A lot of companies now are just really getting into the snarky and the sarcasm, and that can be good. That can work for some people. We do that a little bit on our website. We use alter ego. That's at the bottom of all our pages. So we keep our main corporate message, but we have our max speed at the bottom, who gets to say things that are a little bit irreverent sometimes. And irrelevant, I guess. So, you know, figure out what your voice is, and try and be consistent with that, you know, from page to page. And that can be hard if you've got different people writing the content, but everybody should be on board with what your voice is. Okay, going local. So nobody's had any questions so far? Okay. Going local, all of you guys are local businesses. Is everybody here seeking local people to work with. You're not.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're more national, but everybody else is pretty much, your audience is local. Well, local and mobile optimization, obviously now with what are you laughing at?
The 10-year-old phone on the screen.
Oh, right. It's a good picture. I like it.
It's great.
They don't have those phones anymore.
No offense.
You know, with smartphones, everything's going local. More and more people are doing searches from their phone. Mobile devices account for 50% of paid search clicks by this time next year, thereabout. And I mean, paid search and organic search are probably about the same. You know, but that's what they could actually monitor. So people are using their phones more and more to do searches, to find information, and even being mobile friendly is not always the exact same thing as being local friendly, where you want to make sure people can find you even if they're doing a search from their phone, even if your audience isn't local. I do searches for non-local businesses from my phone because that's what I happen to have with me right then. I prefer my desktop or my laptop, but I'll use my phone if I need to. 25% of small businesses have zero presence in local results. That's a big opportunity being missed, is somebody's doing a search and they can't find you at all. And so that's an opportunity there that you want to make sure that, whether you're in the organic results for a local search or in the local 7-pack of results that Google displays, or you come up doing your phone and there's a button there that says click to call. You want to make sure that you have that and people can find you and easily get to your site or call you up. There's several on-page signals that the search engines look for. One of them is site authority. This is true of organic results as it is local results. You have to build up that authority. Local keyword usage. So you're targeting Canton or Akron or Northeast Ohio, you've got to use your localized keywords, your geographical references, because that's how the search engines are going to determine who you come up in the rankings for. Because if you're doing a search here for a local business versus doing one 2 miles that way, same search, you're going to get entirely different results. And it's going to be based on geo-targeted factors using localized keywords and things like that. Don't get into location spamming, which is people taking big blocks of text and just putting all of their locations at the footer of their pages. Don't do that. There are ways to target your local areas, even if it's a very large local area, effectively without spamming the keywords. That's kind of old school 1990s SEO, and now people are doing it for local optimization as well. So there's avenues and strategies for really targeting your local audience without doing that. One of that is city targeted pages, where we'll often, we've got a business roofing company, and they basically have offices in several different cities. And then we can use that to build local targeted pages for those cities, and we can really create a local targeted page for any city as long as we're putting relevant content that's unique on each of those pages. So their Canton page would have different information than their Akron page. A lot of times what people do is they'll take their Canton page and they'll take their Akron page. It'll be the exact same thing, except they just change Canton to Akron. Everything else is the same. That's what you don't want to do. You want every page on your site to have unique content, unique value for the visitor. So if I'm reading the Canton page and then I go to read the Akron page, I'll learn something new, something different. So use this as an opportunity, but make sure you do it right. When you're targeting a lot of cities, it can get difficult because there's a lot of cities, and then you got to have unique content for all of them. But it's, if you really want to compete and get those rankings, then you've got to take the time to write unique content for all of them. Third-party signals, proximity to the business, proximity to the city that you're trying to rank for. The searcher's proximity to the business. Like I said, if you're searching 2 miles down the road, you'll get a completely different set of results, just because the proximity is different. You get far enough away outside of being closer to that business, where somebody else will take the #1 spot, versus if you had it. You search for proposition marketing here, will probably come up first. You do it somewhere else, or say web marketing, you do it down the street, well, another company might come up because they're closer to where the search is. And then consistency of external citations, which is other people referencing you and your city. Those all play a role. So again, it's kind of old-fashioned link building type of stuff, or social media where people are referencing your business, referencing the geo-targeted location. All of those things factor in.
When you're, this is a question actually about social media. When you're posting on social media and this is for another page that I manage, it seems like when I'm actually at the location posting, that it gets picked up or liked more than when I'm at a remote location posting about that business.
Huh. So,
Like not a little bit more, like 30 times more. Like
well,
if I'm actually at the Apple location,
are you talking like
it's
on
a retail
Facebook?
location, so if I'm actually, yes, Facebook.
Okay.
I'm actually at there posting, the likes would be like 30, 40, 50. If I'm at a different location posting about the same business, it'll be 3 or 4.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something in Facebook's algorithm where proximity is playing a role in how many people are seeing it. Versus if you're right there, they say, well, more people should see it because it's immediately relevant. Versus if you're posting about later, not so much. I don't know. I'd have to ask Kathy that, or maybe you can ask her after. But that is a good question. I've never.
It's happened several times, so it's pretty consistent. And I'm even using like the same types of images to test it to see,
Yeah.
Is it the image that was the most popular or the fact that it was done at that time?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's something that's worth looking into.
Is it the actual amount of engagement or the number of people that it's shown to?
The actual amount of engagement.
So it's shown to the same amount of audience?
Well, I don't think she would know that. I mean, Facebook shows it to.
And how many people has shown it
How
to?
many people seen it? Oh, okay.
I
That's
think
what I
the amount of people see it is very similar. It's just the amount of engagement is much higher.
That might be just a human thing. So it's, oh, you're there now? Okay, I like it more. But there might be something in the algorithm about that.
But I've used the same picture as if I was there.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
an older picture of the same image.
Right. So there's nothing to indicate that you were there versus not there. Huh. That is interesting.
And the engagement is like by far
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think Facebook posts are in Google results at all, so that wouldn't be a factor.
So I'm just wondering if proximity when you post, or if the people that like your page might be at that location at the same time. So if
Yeah.
you're in the proximity of Facebook users, or
Yeah.
like
That would be an interesting test.
But it's because I've tested it several times and it just,
Yeah.
if I'm there posting, wham.
Huh.
If I'm not there and there's still a busy time and I use that same image saying, oh, here we
Yeah.
are, doesn't get the same results.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Does that make any difference, like whether you're posting by phone or by, by laptop or something, or not?
It was by mobile device, but
Both types of mobile devices.
several times, yeah. It's all been mobile.
Yeah. And I don't know if that would be something in the algorithms for the Facebook algorithm specifically, if that would matter. I don't know if they care. I mean, there's a lot of nuances to any of the algorithms, so they're probably testing different things at different times to see, if mobile versus desktop would be a reason to favor something over something else. But I don't know in this case. But because all of this factors in, with local and rankings and all that, where you want to get your local citations, you want to get the local mentions, you want to make sure you're targeting local keywords. All that is important. And reviews are another big part of that. Getting reviews on third-party sites, whether it be Google+, Yelp, or anything industry-specific for you, getting those reviews can be a big factor in getting those rankings, because they do look at that. Search engines do look at the reviews. They look at the positive versus the negative. If you have more positive reviews, you're going to have a better chance of coming up in the search results. If you have more reviews than a competitor in the same area, you have a better chance of coming up in the search results. So these are all things, and we can't go outright try and buy reviews and say, hey, if you review my site, I'll give you, $10 off your next visit or your next purchase or whatever else. That can get you in a lot of trouble. But what you can do is just encourage people to review you. We often recommend sending out postcards, something saying, hey, go to Google Review Me, sending out an email, click this link, go review me, and that can help a great deal. Make a consistent practice of that kind of thing. All right, interaction and authority building, and this goes into the social sphere of things. Social media, there's Twitter twice, not sure why.
It's that important.
It is.
Right.
It is. That's, because you can only get 140 characters, so you have to do 2 tweets. Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, all of these things are factors. And not everything is going to be relevant for your business. A trucking company isn't really going to do very good on Pinterest. Not as much as a clothing company, So you got to know your audience or know where your audience is, figure out the avenues that they're using, and then you go after that. You get engaged on that social network. And you really do. Social networks, people look at them often as a publishing platform. I'm promoting things about my business. I'm promoting my blog posts. I'm promoting my content, my products, my services. And social media is not a promotional platform. It's an engagement platform. It's a way to interact with people. And that's what we often miss, is we have to be out there interacting with people before any of our promotional posts will have any value to them whatsoever. And that's the hardest thing about social media, is it takes a lot of time. It's just, you have to be doing a lot of stuff that doesn't feel directly related to what you do or feel like it's paying off or giving you any value. But you're building relationships, you are interacting with people, you're engaging them, you're building an audience, you're building the authority. And that's what you want to do. You want to be in that places where you can build your authority and just become the place that people often go to ask questions relevant to your industry. Reputation management, you want to keep an eye on what people are saying about you. Are they writing anything in their blogs about you? Are they tweeting about you? Are, who's linking to you? All of these things can be valuable information for you, especially if somebody says anything negative. Don't look at those types of things as an opportunity to go on the defensive. A lot of times you go on the offensive and you say, hey, what can I do to make this a better experience for you? Sorry you had a bad experience, what can I do to help you out? And a lot of times when there's a negative comment, if you handle it right, it can turn into being more valuable than a positive comment in the first place. Because people see that, okay, everybody messes up, everybody does something, everybody has a bad experience, but how we can deal with that and maybe fix the situation can speak volumes about you and your company. So, look at what people are doing, look at what they're saying, anything related to your business, just keep an eye out there. It's probably not going to be a lot, but sometimes all it takes is one person saying something negative, and that can snowball into something you don't want it to snowball into. So get out ahead of it, keep an eye on what people are doing and saying, and then see if there's a way that you can deal with that kind of stuff. Content strategy, workshops, webinars, videos, ebooks, white papers, blogs, all of this. What is your content strategy? What are you going to do to continue to be putting information out there to build you up as an authority? One of our biggest sources of leads is content. Blog posts that I write on our site, on other websites, speaking engagements that I do, books now apparently. These are all lead generation tools, and people will tell you that, especially in our industry, will tell you they get far more value from content than anything else, just because people are already looking at us as authorities. They're reading the content. I've had people come say, I've seen you speak, I read your blogs, I know you know what you're doing, I know you know what you're talking about. And here we are for years giving away information for free, telling people how they can do it themselves, but then they come to us and say, look, I don't have time to do it, I don't have the wherewithal to do it, I need you because of content. content basically is our way to show that we have authority and we are the authority on this topic. But there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different types of content, and mix it up a little bit, do things differently. I'd like to do, more videos, and we're videotaping this right now because we want to use that as an opportunity. These presentations get turned into blog posts, and of course they're entirely different from what I'm saying here and now because I'm typing it out at a different time. So it's an entirely different learning experience altogether, but it's a great way to take content, reuse it, repurpose it, turn it into different things. This book here, ultimately we're going to be sending it out over social media, one snippet at a time, whether we do the whole book or not, or just key parts of it. But a lot of pieces will be going out on social media, just little bits that say we're the authority. Here's information. Here's a free bit of information. Go buy the book, or come to pole position marketing because we know what we're talking about. Okay, any questions on priorities? Is that a lot of information? You guys ready for a break? Okay. Let's take a few minute break. Alright, so moving on to landscape. Where's that going? Moving on to landscape. Web marketing, facts from fiction. Basically, I just wanted to run through kind of some things that we may have all heard that you may not know whether to believe or not. All you need is SEO. Kind of hit that already, where SEO has grown so much now. But it's not even SEO anymore. It's web marketing, and that's what we call ourselves. We're web presence optimization is what we do. It's not just marketing on the web. We're building your web presence through all the aspects of online marketing. SEO is still a very key component of that, though. It's very important to get the on-page optimization in the bag. SEO is dead or dying. I've been hearing this since I started in the industry, which was 1998. People have been saying SEO is dead. Almost every year somebody comes out, SEO is officially dead. Now it's dead. Well, now it's dead. Well, I'm making a pretty good living off something that's dead. It's not going anywhere as long as there's search engines and there's people searching. We have a job. SEO has a role to play. It's to make the content findable for the search engines so people can find it. SEO is unaffordable. Now, this can get a little closer to truth for some businesses because there is so much to SEO, and over the years it's gotten harder and harder for us to offer SEO services at a very cheap rate. When I started doing this, we were doing SEO for $75 a page that we're optimizing. And then I remember we had a big jump to $150 a page. Lost a lot of clients over that. Now, we're at a point where we can hardly do SEO for less than $500 a month, just because the amount of time that goes into it. And we saw that in the first section. A lot of time, a lot of stuff that has to go into SEO. And we don't like taking on anything that we can't say, look, this is going to be reasonably successful for you. We're not just in it to take people's money. We want to make sure that you get your ROI out of that. And so it's not unaffordable SEO, but you have to be able to commit the time and the energy, whether you're paying somebody else to do it or you're doing it yourself. There is a lot that goes into that. SEO destroys usability. When I started, this was very true. It's not anymore, or at least it shouldn't be. Anybody who's doing optimization and then you go back to see what they did, you say this content's unreadable, or it's messing up the website. Those are not good SEOs. I wouldn't even call them SEOs. SEO now, today, should enhance usability. It should be about creating a better web presence, not just getting rankings on search engines, not getting #1 rankings, really building a website that people come to, they can find in the search engines, and then once they land on your site, they find what it is they want, what they need. SEO is IT. A lot of companies even still today treat SEO as an IT expense, and they give it to their web developers, or they give it to their server operators. SEO is about marketing. It really is. We're marketers. The goal is not just to do some technical tweaks and changes, and then boom, you're going to get lots of traffic. Maybe you can, but that traffic has to convert into business for you, and that's all marketing. You know, IT people don't really do that. There are magic SEO solutions. A lot of people do think this, that you do, you know, just write good title tag, boom, you're going to be ranking number one. Or you just keep producing a lot of content and boom, you're going to be ranking number one, you're going to get all kinds of new business. There is no magic solution. The algorithms, Google's algorithm looks at well over 200 factors, and all of them play a different role. You know, one of the things I often say is SEO is about baby steps. You do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and eventually you have a well-optimized site. Can't always do everything. There's some things you can't do, maybe site limitations, or maybe it's not compatible with what your vision is for the site. But you do what you can, and you keep making those baby steps, inching your way to having a better and better optimized site. But there is no one thing that you can do other than fixing huge architectural problems. That is the closest you come to a magic solution with SEO. You fix some architectural problems, you can suddenly see your rankings go up. But generally that's not going to be the case, because you still have to have all the other optimization in place and all the other things going and working for you. You have to submit to Google. Has anybody ever submitted their site to Google before? Nobody? Good. You don't need to do that. Google will find you. This is something that we used to do back when we started. There's even search engines that you had to pay in order to submit your site to them. And now, you know, Google's, look, we'll find you. If you do it right, if you're out there on social, if you're building links, Google will find you. You don't have to submit. You don't have to do anything. People offering submission services. Hey, you know, we'll get you submitted to 500 directories for 20 bucks, whatever. Don't do them. Usually they're junk. The links are valueless. You're just throwing money away. Meta tags improve rankings. There's two meta tags, your meta description tag and your meta keyword tag. The meta description tag, if you remember, is displayed in the search results, so there's value there. The meta keyword tag has 0 value. Search engines don't look at it. Even the description, they don't look at it for ranking purposes. It's there to help people click on your site, the description, but other than that, they're not going to help with your rankings. Rankings happen overnight. They can if there is something stopping the search engines from getting the content on your site properly. But other than that, it's a matter of building authority. We tell people that optimization is a 9 to 12 month process. Depending on the site, you know, especially if you've got a new site, you're looking at 9 to 12, if not more. If you've been around a while, your site's well established, and you start doing a lot of the optimization things that are necessary, building the authority, doing the optimized tags, doing the on-page optimization, you can start seeing your rankings go up fairly quickly, but that's not meaning you're going to be number one overnight or anything like that. So always consider SEO the long play. It's going to take a while. You need number one rankings. That's always been the goal. People come to us, how do I get to be number one? And now we tell them, don't worry about it. It's not about being number one. It's not about having those rankings. In fact, we have a client that they performed better after they lost their number one rankings, because the change we made, while it did something that devalued the pages for their key core keyword, that it moved them from number one to number three, there was hundreds of other pages that moved up at the same time that these pages moved down. And these pages were the ones that were getting sales. So that's where we tell people, look, number one rankings, they're great, but sometimes you need to sacrifice the number one ranking for the good of the business. You know, if that can help you get more business. So don't look at that. And there's so many other factors, like I said, with local search, proximity matters. You can't be number one all the time. And, you know, with my search history and your search history, we might do the same search and get different results. So really, there's no such thing as number one anymore, not consistently for any person. Search history matters, your personalization matters, your contacts, who you're connected with matters, all of that plays a role. All you need is social media. That can be true. Many businesses have survived or have done very well on social media alone. But what the missing component is getting big on social media can get you a lot of traffic, but are you getting the conversions? Or when the social media dies down, do you still succeed and are you still able to keep that up? We would say it's possible, but you need the SEO to go with it. You need the optimization to make sure that the search engines can find it. And they go hand in hand. You can have an optimized site that does well without social media. You can have a site that does well on social media that isn't optimized, but you put them together, you're going to perform a whole lot better. So you can do one without the other, but you're going to be more effective with both. Social media is a massive productivity killer. I might claim this. I hate social media. I just don't do it well. I'm not a conversationalist. I'm not a small talker. To me, that's what social media is. It's all small talk stuff. But I know I do it wrong. I know I'm not good at it. That's why I hire people to do social media, because I'm not the person to do it. It's not, like I said earlier, it can feel like it's a productivity killer. It feels like you're doing a lot of stuff, spinning wheels that isn't directly getting you business, but it's building authority, it's building connections, and those things turn into business down the road, whether it's those people you're communicating with directly or their networks that they're reaching about you and through the dialogue and interaction that you're having with other people. So social media is really kind of the long way around, but it is very, very valuable. Social media directly impacts rankings. It does not. You can tweet to your heart's content and you're not going to necessarily see your rankings go up, but there is a lot of correlation between good social media and good rankings, because the things that make things go well socially are also the same things that make something go well in the algorithms for the search engines. So if you're doing good content that is great for social, it's most likely going to be great for SEO. And some of those same signals where people are finding it valuable, the search engines are looking at. They're saying, okay, people are socializing this, they're finding this content valuable. Maybe we need to move it up in the search results. You don't get a direct correlation like, oh, I got 15 tweets, I'm going to get a boost in rankings. You won't see that, but you will see a lot of the same patterns happening where if you're doing good on social, that is going to impact your rankings overall. Guest posting is bad. Everybody here a few months back, Google said guest posting is done, it's dead, don't do it anymore. They started penalizing guest post sites that help people write guest posts for other blogs. Google pretty much said, we're done with that. Guest posting is still not bad. Regardless of what Google says, they were just trying to make a statement. They're trying to penalize the big people that were kind of being these brokers for guest posts. And they did it because they just felt like they weren't doing valuable content. And that's what it comes down to. Everything is about valuable content. If you're doing anything just for the sake of, I want to get a guest post out there because I want the link or whatever, Google's going to analyze that and go, you're not really doing anything of value. We have people guest post on our blog all the time because we want to make, because we know it's valuable. It's valuable to our audience, it's relevant to what we do. Now, we don't have somebody guest post about dog food because that's not relevant for our audience, no matter how authoritative it is. But people guest post about online marketing and different aspects of that. So that is an avenue that you can still use to build authority, whether it's somebody guest posting for you, which can help you if they have a good following, or you guest posting on somebody else's blog. Again, if they have a following, your post goes out and you can drive traffic to your site. Don't be afraid of doing that, just make sure it's all about the quality.
Is that on blogs? Just blogs? I'm not familiar with blogs.
Yeah, I mean that's, yeah, it's a blogging thing.
What's over on blogging? Twitter, those two.
Blogging on Twitter.
Well,
Twitter.
And one of the things Kathy always says about social media is you don't have to be active on all of them. Find the ones that you can be good at and go
Yeah.
after them. And instead of trying to be all things all people, pick one that's good and really go after it. Twitter's not for you. Let it go. You know, I imagine
I
Pinterest
think
would
our
be huge.
demographic that we try to reach is on Twitter.
Is it?
Facebook is
Oh.
the hard part.
I would think Pinterest
I got
and
Facebook
Instagram.
down a little bit more, so definitely get Twitter.
Yeah, well, you master one
Mhm.
and then you move on to the next one where your audience is. All you need is content marketing. Now that's the big thing. Content is king. Everybody says just produce content. And again, it has to be valuable content and there has to be a game plan. So just putting out content isn't going to get you anywhere unless you have a plan, you have a purpose for it. And again, the content's optimized and it's sociable. So you need the social media and the SEO component with that as well. I just need more content. And again, more and more and more content. We've seen studies, people say, oh, I was posting 3 times a week and my business shot up, and yeah, that's questionable. Maybe that'll help, but overall, you don't want to be that blog that Google's looking at going, you got a lot of content, but it's junk. And it might work for a short term, but unless you're putting out good quality content, and I would say put out less content of greater quality than more content of lesser quality. So don't look at the quantity of it. Content's already awesome. How many of you think your content's awesome? It's probably not as awesome as it could be. Not to say that it's bad, but look for ways to improve. Look for ways to provide better content than you already are. Look at the content your competitors are putting out and see what you can do to do better.
Okay, you said something on the last slide about content being optimized and
Sociable, yeah.
Okay, can you comment on that?
Well, I mean, one of the things with becoming an authority is producing content that people read. Socializing content, getting people to it, to read it and engage with it, maybe comment on it or re-socialize it. That's kind of what we're doing is part of this big web marketing thing. We can put out content, but if nobody's reading it, it's not doing any good. So we want to make sure we're getting it out there and people are able to find it and read it. And then the search engines rank it as well. So there's a couple avenues that people can find it. Use as many of them as you can. All you need is more links. Link building is huge in SEO for a long time, and it's still incredibly valuable. But there's more to online marketing than getting websites and blogs to link to you. It is a component, but again, bigger picture stuff. You have to look at the architecture. You have to look at the on-page optimization. Look at social. Look at content. Links alone doesn't do it anymore. Links don't matter anymore, which is another thing people are often saying is, well, now that Google is looking more about content, well, we don't need to worry about links. So now that they're looking more at social, then we don't need to worry about links. Matt Cutts at Google said that they tried to do an algorithm without valuing links, and it didn't work. Links are here to stay. Links are still important. Getting other websites to link to you is still a factor in what we do. Now, the good thing is the social does take up most of that, where you're building relationships online using social media. That will get people to link to your content. But don't think that all you got to do is tweet things, because that's not doing it. You've got to get other people to engage and interact and link back to your content. Yeah.
With the changes in the value that Google's putting on links, has the anchor text, is that still valuable, or does it not matter what words are highlighted? How does that play? It does.
Yeah, anchor text is the words that you use in the link itself, if you're linking content to something else. And as part of SEO, we've been saying for years, use keywords in your anchor text. There is value in that. You don't go overboard where you've got 10,000 links all using the same anchor text, and that's what people are doing. They go buy 10,000 links at a time, all using the same anchor text. Google picks that up and goes, yeah, that looks funny, So there's nothing wrong with using keywords in your anchor text, and you want to do that because that helps the search engines tell what that page is about before they even get to it. But you have to do it, within reason. And not every link to a particular page should have the same keywords in it. Mix it up a little bit. PPC improves rankings. A lot of people feel like, hey, I stopped doing PPC and I lost my organic rankings. That isn't a direct correlation to Google said, well, you're not paying us anymore, we're going to take your organic rankings away. A lot of times what it is, it's the value that you get when you have PPC and organic side by side. You get a big lift from that because of Google looking at the traffic and who's clicking on the site. The more people click on your rankings, then you're going to start moving up in the rankings. PPC does the same thing. The more people that click on your ad's going to move up, and you're not going to have to pay as much. So the organic does the same thing. And when you cut out PPC, if your organic drops, it's because they saw the traffic patterns decline. Not as many people were clicking on your ranking in the organic side as they were before, even though you're holding the same position. You get a pretty big branding boost when you have PPC and organic side by side. They both perform better than they would if it was either of them individually. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, any questions, any other myths or things that you might have heard about SEO or anything else?
I just have a question about link building. So you're using social media to get people to link to your website?
Yeah.
And how do they link to your website, like an RSS feed or?
Usually a blog, and if you're building relationships, one of our key link building tactics is to build relationships with people via social media and then ask for the link at some point in time. Say, hey, I got this really great content, valuable for your visitors. Would you be willing to share it or write something about it, blog about it, comment on it, whatever. And if you build the relationship up via social, you're more apt to get somebody to say yes to that kind of thing. Which beats the old school link building, just emailing somebody out of the blue saying, hey, link to my stuff, please.
The other big way of link building is creating content that is interesting enough or valuable enough or unique enough that people say, hey, check out this, and they link back to it. And then, good content will naturally build links back to your site because people will enjoy it.
Yeah, you become that authoritative source, that people want to cite as, they're making their case and say, see, I'm right, and they link to your content, which reinforces what they're saying now.
So they could even use parts of your blog as a link to whatever they're writing about.
Yeah, or, kind of like, if you're just talking about something and you're saying, well, so-and-so said this, well, they link to the source, you're the source of what you said, and people go, you're the authority, I respect your opinion, so I'm using you to reinforce, what I'm saying. Yeah, it's kind of, people have been doing that in books for years, Any book that's written, it's just sourcing other sources and other people and saying this is what they said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's look at some optimization tools and tactics. We're going to go through just kind of some different tools that we use for optimization. Keyword research, we talked about this a little bit. What are the words your customers are using? How are they communicating? Some of the tools that we use, Google AdWords Keyword Planner. That's probably the best one out there for finding keywords that Google says these are what people are searching for. Google knows because they're tracking their own searches in their search engine. So they'll be the best source. My next favorite one is Word Tracker. You have to pay for a Word Tracker. It's a subscription based, but you can get a lot of good keyword data from that as well. Visual Thesaurus I like for looking for similar and related terms. When you're looking at, I want to write about dog food, and you want to see what other words are used in conjunction with that. The Visual Thesaurus will be a good tool for that. And WordStream is another keyword tool. I've never used it, but it's popular in our industry. A lot of people do. So these are just some 4 quick tools that you can use to do your keyword research. Website analytics. Google Analytics is a very robust analytics tool. It is free. There are a lot of other analytics tools out there that you can pay for, and they'll give you a lot of data. But I would suggest start with Google Analytics until you're at a point going, this is child's play. It's once you got it down, and you can't get any new data from it that you need. But you can be digging into Google Analytics for a long time before you feel you've exhausted the avenue of what you can find and the questions that you can answer from that. On-page optimization. When we optimize a page, we've got a list of keywords, we've got our content, we merge the two, make a very good authoritative piece of content. Moz has an on-page grader that you can run your URL through, and it'll give you a score looking at, 15, maybe 20 different elements of the page, title tags, meta descriptions, links on the page, and you say, here's the URL, here's the keyword that you're trying to rank for, and it'll tell you areas that you need to fix. Some of them are easy, and it tells you, it's like, this is an easy fix, this is a more difficult fix, this is a very hard fix. But it's a good tool to use, and you don't have to use it, it's not gospel. This is just a third-party tool. It's not anything that they have pulled directly from Google as part of their algorithm. It's just what SEOs think are important factors. So you don't have to go, I've got to get every one of these things nailed down in order to rank well, but it can give you a good idea of some things you need to be aware of and do. Future Now has WeWe Monitor, which is basically monitoring for how many times you are referencing yourself. And you know, when we're writing content, you don't want to talk about yourself. You want to be relevant for your audience, and you want to write in their terms, what they need, what's good for them, what they're going to receive. So the WeWe Monitor is a great way to kind of go, oh yeah, we talk about ourselves a lot. Let's talk about our audience and what they need more than us. And then Google Developers gives you page speed insights, which will let you look at some issues that may be slowing your site down, or your time that it takes for somebody to download a page. That does factor into the search results a little bit. Google is looking for speed, and all things being equal, if your competitor's site is lightning fast and yours isn't, they're going to get the better rankings. So page speed does matter. Site architecture, I talked a little bit about this. Here's some tools. Google Webmaster Tools is a good source just to look at. They'll tell you, broken links. They'll tell you duplicate content, duplicate title tags, meta description, things like that. We could probably do a whole course on Google Webmaster Tools. Write that down.
Yep.
And because there's a wealth of information in that alone. Xenu Leak Sleuth, little Scientology thing. I think he's anti-Scientology. I haven't figured it out. I've been using the tool for like 15 years and never really figured it out. But it's a great, very light tool. Just runs spiders through your site. It'll give you all the broken links, what URLs are broken, where they were found, what URLs are redirecting, where they were found. And then you can see all of your title tags. So we run that through, we go and look at all the title tags of all the pages and go, yeah, we need to rewrite a bunch of title tags. Or we go, hey, they look good. So it gives you an at-a-glance view without clicking on every page. Microsoft IIS, there's an SEO plugin for that. It's actually something that's part of Windows. So if you install the SEO plugin for IIS, you give it the URL, it'll spider the site like Xenu does, and it'll give you all kinds of information that some of it overlaps with what Xenu will give you, but it'll give you a lot of other stuff that just, and it grades it whether this is a real critical issue or this is, not a big deal, but something you might want to fix. So these are three really, really powerful tools. Very rarely do we get a site that we run these three tools on and we don't see a problem. It's just, they'll catch just about everything. Listening, that's something that's very important. And again, we talked about reputation management. In order to keep an eye on what people are saying about you or to engage on social media, we have to be aware of what people are saying. Google Alerts is a great way to monitor your brand. Put in your business name and Google will send you an email or send you an alert every time somebody mentions you. Or you put in a keyword. If somebody's talking about what you do, if they're asking a question, you can get in there, like a forum or whatever, you can get in there and answer questions. So it's a good way to stay active and stay involved without having to follow, you can only follow so many streams at one time. Well, Google Alert will kind of get you the other ones. Feedly is also a tool that you can use to keep track of blog posts and what people are writing. I use a feed reader where I have sites that I subscribe to. Every time they put out a new blog post, I'm aware of it. I go and I scan through them every morning and decide what I do or don't want to read. It's kind of like an email inbox for blog posts for who you subscribe to. And then Hootsuite is a good tool for monitoring your social media. You can monitor Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, all on the same dashboard, and see all your streams and interact with people and comment and things like that. So that's a good tool for social. Promotional tools, RSS. It's not really a tool per se, but you want to make sure that your blog has an RSS feed so people can use their feed reader or Feedly to download your new blog posts whenever they go live. Buffer is a good tool to promote your content. It's a way to schedule tweets or whatever else. You got a blog post, you want to push it out there, well, you can schedule it to go at certain times, depending on where you feel like it's the best time for that. I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago. It was scheduled to go out yesterday. We didn't do anything, we just scheduled it. So we went out when we wanted it to go out, and we didn't have to be in front of the computer hitting the send button, go now. Email is a good promotional tool. We're all wary of spam, so be careful of spamming people, but you can use programs like Constant Contact or Aweber to do some good email promotional campaigns. P.L.A.N and Sprout Social, these are also some tools that you can look into and see how they might be effective for your promotional strategy. Conversion tools, Google Analytics, they have a good conversion tool built in. It used to be a separate. It was Google, I forget what it was called. Anyway, they built it, they integrated it right into analytics, so you can do some of that A/B testing that we talked about earlier, making a change on a site and then seeing how people interact, and it'll just show in your Google Analytics and let you know, this is doing better than this. This headline beat out this headline. So then you can keep running different tests and changes, and they'll show in the search results, and when people land on the page, and then Google Analytics will track it, so you can see which is the winner. All right, any questions on tools, tactics?
When you're testing, are you talking about like you do sort of two identical pages with, except the changes like in the color of the buttons or the headlines or whatever you're testing?
Yeah, and if you do it with Google Analytics testing tools, you don't have to create a second page. You just say, here's the page, here's the thing I want to be different, and then it'll display the difference to different visitors. So half of them might get one, half of them might get the other.
Are all of these free, paid, or do they have components of each?
A lot of them components of each. I mean, Google's all free, except for PPC. There's at least 3 Google tools in there that we use that are all free. IIS and Xenu are free programs, and those are the on-page stuff that, really good tools. P.L.A.N and Buffer, I'm not sure about that. Kathy would be able to answer that. I think some of them are
both.
Yeah, there's free and paid versions of most everything. All right, so let's talk about how do we maintain a healthy web presence. We've got our optimization down, we've got our plan, kind of have a way forward, we've done our stuff. Now, how do we keep that? Talk about a little bit about some of the Google penalties. Have you guys heard of the Penguin algorithm? Wow, okay. A few years ago, Google came out with a algorithm called Penguin, and it was targeting links. So it was when we talked about people going out buying 10,000 links with the same anchor text. Penguin was meant to combat that, where it's like they don't want people manipulating the algorithm. I mean, that's really, the search engines want to produce rankings that are relevant for people. They don't want people to be able to manipulate that artificially. So this was one of the things where they were targeting links that were not true links, they were purchase links. And Google will penalize you if they find you to purchase links. Or if you get a bunch of really crappy sites to link to you, even if you didn't pay for them. So these are some of the things that you have to watch out for, is make sure that your links that you get are valuable and they're meaningful to you or to the audience on the site that is linking to you. And again, if you're not doing any active link building, this shouldn't matter. It's only when we go out and start going, hey, link to me, link to me, link to me, link to me. How you do that is going to matter if you want to stay out of any type of penalty with Penguin. And we saw a lot of sites, and these algorithms roll out, I don't know, I think this one might actually be worked into the algorithm now, where it is a natural part of the algorithm, but initially it was something that they would run a filter, it was a filter that they'd run their algorithm through, and then a whole bunch of sites got penalized all at once. And then they'd have to run the filter again for sites to come back in if they cleaned up their links. So that's the problem with some of these filters, is they're not part of the algorithm. on a natural basis where they have to be run every so often, and if you get penalized by it, then you don't get back until after you've cleaned it up and they've rerun that filter. Panda is another one. This one went after content. So where Penguin was about links, Panda was about crappy content. Content farms, sites that were just going and producing just, I want to rank for all these keywords. And so they're just creating these articles that were pretty useless for the most part. And they started ranking well, and they got all kinds of traffic, and of course they sold ads, so they got clicks on, they made all kinds of money without having good content. You know, that was the goal, is to bring people in, they see the content's crappy, they click on an ad to find what they want, and so they're getting paid for having bad content. Well, the Panda algorithm set to kind of eliminate that option where Google's looking at the content more so now than ever. This is another filter, so if you get caught in the Panda penalty, you're SOL until they rerun it, and it's been 10 months since they ran it last. And I mean, that's a hard thing. If you get hit with these penalties and you gotta wait, you know, you can get it all cleaned up within 30 days and you just gotta wait until Google gets around to reapplying the filter. So it's not a good place to be. You wanna make sure that you keep your content quality at all times. Hummingbird algorithm, this is a recent rewrite of the entire Google algorithm, and it was designed to look at the query, what we are actually typing into the search results and matching it with the content better. And this is where we're now looking at co-occurrence words and synonyms and all of that, where Google is better able to go, oh, you're saying this, well, this applies, even though it's not exactly the word that you used. And a good example of that would be, you used the word used car. Well, all the dealerships talk about pre-owned cars, and Google's going, those are pretty much one and the same. And it used to be where you couldn't rank for used cars unless you talked about used cars. Now, you're still going to have a better chance of ranking if you use the keywords on the page, but you don't have to anymore use the exact words or the exact phrases, because Google is now tying them together and understanding that words have very similar meanings. Over optimization, that's just, you know, when we get in there and we start going, I'm going to optimize the heck out of this page, I'm going to throw a bunch of keywords in there, I'm going to do all this optimization stuff, I'm going to go write a bunch of content, I'm going to get a bunch of links. We do not want to do that. You don't want to do that. And one of the things we have prided ourselves in is we have not had any clients get hit with any penalties over the years because we haven't done any of these things that Google's looking at and penalizing for. Which, you know, even when they were working, people say, I want to rank, I want to rank. And we're like, we are not going to do these things that will get you quick rankings, because eventually it'll come back to bite you. And it did with Panda and Penguin. It came back to bite people really bad. And we didn't have any clients hit with those, because everything that we're doing is we're trying to do good content. We're not trying to over-optimize, we're just trying to optimize and make something of value for people. Manual action notices, Google Webmaster Tools will send those out. There'll be a note in your dashboard if you get a manual penalty, which is if you get filtered and they find that and they look at your site and say, look, you've got some spammy links or you've got some bad content. So Google has now started letting people know if there's an issue that needs to be resolved. So this is where Google Webmaster Tools is very helpful. It doesn't give you a lot of information. It doesn't tell you exactly what's wrong, so you'll have to do some research and digging. But it is Google's way of saying, hey, look, you've got a problem. You know, maybe you should fix it. So if you got a penalty, if it happens, what do? The best thing you do is clean it up, resubmit your site to Google, and this is where you can do a re-inclusion request. And we talked about submitting, you don't have to do, but you can ask for, if you get a manual penalty, after you fix the problem, you can do a re-inclusion request, and Google will come back and take a look and see if you've actually fixed the problem. So that's about the only thing that you can do, though, is to get it cleaned up. How do you stay out of a penalty? Don't do any of these things. Just don't. You know, stay on the up and up. Everything is about quality. Don't think in terms of how do I get rankings, think in terms of how do I provide value. You guys laughing at the picture?
It looks old, but she's got like 5 years.
She does. There is also a rubber ducky here that I had to crop out. But I wanted it in the
It's a
picture.
shame.
I know, really is.
Everyone loves it.
Another thing is just check your architecture regularly. Again, these 3 tools, once a month, we try and run one of those tools through each of the sites that we're monitoring. And we'll take this month, I'll run Zenu, see if anything new found. We found all the other stuff, we cleaned it up. Oh wait, now there might be something new. So we'll get that cleaned up. Next month, we'll go look at Google Webmaster Tools, see if there's any new notices in there, see if there's any new problems that it found. IIS, again, run that through. It'll tell you, IIS will tell you how many errors it found. And I like running it again and going, oh look, I got 10,000 fewer errors this time than I did last time. That's success. So just keep running these tools. You don't have to do them all every month or whatever, but just keep up on it and look at these different things. Ongoing optimization for new keywords. Optimization is never done until you run out of keywords, and we've only had that happen once or twice in the 15 years that we told a client we're out of keywords. We've optimized them all. There's no more variations. And that's a hard thing to do, and it's even harder now with social because there's a lot of questions like how to, how do you do this, how do you do that, and that's blog posts. So while, you know, let's say you sell gift baskets and somebody's asking a question, how do you make a gift basket? Well, you know, you're not really, your business isn't about telling people how to do a gift basket, you're trying to sell them. But that is a blog post that you can do, teach people how to do it, and then eventually that can come around to your business. People go, you are the gift basket masters. You've shown me how to do it, but now I'm tired of doing it, and now I want to just buy one. So there's a lot of keywords, and very rarely will you run out of keywords, especially when you're looking at things to write about, blog about, tweet about, things like that. But just don't stop. You know, look at what people are saying, going, is that worthy, is that keyword worthy of a new page on my site? Is that going to help somebody find the information that they want? Am I not providing that, or can I hone in on something specific and give them more of what they want? Look for those opportunities. Active social maintenance, stay engaged, stay online, stay in social, continue to build relationships on social, continue to communicate with people, interact with them. Even if you feel like it's a waste of time, just keep doing it. Keep doing it, because that will come back to be of value at some point in the future. And you just have to. I mean, when I get engaged on social, I immediately start seeing the results. People are like, hey, I'm doing a radio show, will you be on that? Or, you know, will you come and speak to this? And then when I stop engaging on social, that dries up. And, you know, it's hard. It's like trying to keep up with, you know, 1,000 friends. And I don't know how to do that. You know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. It's hard. Ongoing content strategy. Again, be producing content, but it's not the quantity, it's the quality. Think of how you can do better with your content. What information can you give people? What can you present in a new and unique way? What can you present that isn't already out there, that people aren't already getting?
With regards to social media, like Twitter and Facebook, what percentage should be informational and what percentage should be sales?
80-20.
80 informational, 20 sales.
Yeah. Keep the 80-20 rule, and you know, that way when you do something that's self-promotional, it'll have more impact. You know, and it's the informational can also be other people promotional. You know, it doesn't just have to be I'm just putting out information. You retweet something that somebody else said. You comment on something that somebody else pushed out there. You link to another article that somebody wrote that you found valuable. So promote other people. And that's the best way to get people to promote you, is by promoting them. stay educated. Our team, every strategist, has a requirement of 5 hours of education a week, and oftentimes they say that's not enough. Just to give you an idea of how much there is to know about our industry, it changes a lot. Just since we got these 2 weeks ago, Google changed something in their algorithm, and we had to go and do a very quick edit because these are the proof copies. We did a very quick edit, added 2 more action points to get into the book, so it was relevant when it came out. You know, it's just a lot of stuff going on. It changes fast, and not that everybody can spend 5 hours a week on education, but you know, find a couple sources that you trust and keep learning as much as possible. All right, movement is life. Does anybody know what this scene is from?
The movie that I wouldn't watch. I watched it, too creepy.
World War Z.
Yeah.
The line, movement is life, is also from the movie. Brad Pitt's character was holed up with this family, and he's saying, hey, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. They say, no, we're in our home, we're staying, we're good. He said, movement is life. SEO is the same way. You have to keep moving, you can't stop. Because when you stop, somebody else is gonna overtake you. Somebody else is gonna do it better, they're gonna build more authority than you. There's always something to do with web marketing. It never ends. Now, it may slow down where you don't have to be as aggressive, but you do got to keep an eye on your competitors and make sure they don't pass you up. That's it. Thanks. Any questions?
All right, on your last, underneath your booklet there is a quick survey. We really tried to make these as good as we can for our attendees. So if there's any insight you can add to this, it's anonymous, you don't have to put your name on it. Just let us know if there's ways that we can improve this. If you have ideas for future series or subjects, let us know that as well. We're always looking for what is the most relevant type of information we can be sharing in regards to online marketing. So if there's things that you have questions about or your company has had a lot of questions about, throw it down as a subject idea and we'll consider it. Remember, next workshop is October 7th. They're always the first Tuesday of every month. You guys can sign up now, or you'll be getting an email that will remind you about it as well. You can sign up on there if you like. Let me see if I have anything else. Nope, I think that is it. Thanks for coming out, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, where's the button on the camera?
Left side on the back by the blinking red light.